Greetings, all you crypto punks, cool cats, pudgy penguins, and bored apes. This is Proof of Pod, episode 10. Today's episode is going to center around a fairly controversial technology in the crypto space, NFTs. But don't tune out yet. I'm not going to try and sell you on an NFT. NFTs have had their boom and bust already. And that hopefully allows us to take a clear-headed look at what NFTs are and what they are not. Our guide to this tricky space is Bryan Kahanu. He was the creative and marketing advisor for two PokerGO NFT projects. Bryan, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I'm coming a little bit, not a little bit, I'm coming a lot more from kind of like the technical and the philosophy of cryptocurrency, whereas you're more of a boots on the ground, creative marketing kind of guy, right?
Yeah. I am definitely not the tech guy, but I do believe in the vision of NFTs, what they're capable of, and how they could make our traditional things a lot better. So
Okay, good. We need some believers. Feels like a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, maybe we had maybe too many believers in NFTs, and now maybe we have too few.
I think if anybody ever believed in NFTs, they still believe in NFTs,
Okay.
unless they thought NFTs were specifically ways to make a lot of money.
This is kind of a recurring pet peeve for me on this show that all anybody seems to care about is like where to put your money, the crypto casino, all that kind of stuff. I get it because this is news you can use, right? Like if I could tell you you're going to put money in this and it's going to go up 10x in a week, like I'm listening, right? But those things not really predictable for the most part. So I try to focus on things that you can kind of understand everything more broadly, and hopefully that'll be valuable and help you choose where to put your money and hopefully where not to. Anyway, so we're not going to be touting NFTs here exactly. We're going to talk about what they are and what they've been doing and what they might do in the future.
I'm not going to sit here and just say NFTs are, the greatest thing in the world. But when I see a lot of the problems that it already solves and some of the things that I think people really like out of life, I think there's some very obvious comparisons to things that we already accept and we're already a part of. And if it wasn't demonized by this NFT term, I think people would really engage. And so, for example, if we're going to look at, like, let's say the community side of NFTs, right? People
Yeah,
are walking around with their Bored Ape on their shirt or whatever it is. It's like
right,
there's an element of a flex there, right?
right.
So if somebody has a Bored Ape on their shirt, you're asking yourself, like, if you know what that is, do they have a Bored Ape, right? And then you're saying they have that much disposable income to buy an image, right? But it makes you part of that community, right? So you have all these access to all these channels. I don't even know. I'm not a Bored Ape. I don't go to the parties. I don't go to Ape Fest. Not my wheelhouse. But that same person that's talking about that Bored Ape might be flexing a Rolex, which tells the same time as a hundred
Right,
dollar watch, right?
right.
And so there
Okay.
is an element of flex,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. All right, that's an excellent analogy. Let's start really at the ground level.
Okay.
So I asked some people, I told them we were going to be doing an interview about NFTs and stuff, and got some really basic questions like, what is an NFT?
Okay.
NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible just means like they're all the same. Like the gas that you get out of the pump at the gas station.
Yeah, or an Ethereum token, right? Ethereum is Ethereum, right? One for one.
Ethereum is basically the same as any other one. Each Bitcoin is basically the same as any other one. A dollar bill, there's technically serial numbers and stuff on here, but if I'm offering you a dollar bill, you're not going to like carefully select which dollar bill you're going to take. They're fungible. And so what separates NFTs from the rest of the crypto space is they're specifically non-fungible. In the money world, fungibility is considered to be a good thing because you don't have to worry about which dollar bill you're taking. But with an NFT, you are concerned. What are some reasons, Bryan, why you might want your crypto to be non-fungible?
So let's take a basic use case that everybody already uses, right? And anybody who has a vehicle registration, right? And you may think that that little piece of paper that you get in the mail with, that's your vehicle registration,
Right.
but that's a receipt, right? Of your registration. Your registration is already in digital databases. If you get pulled over, they're already going to be looking it up. They already have all your info attached to that. Now, when you want to go sell that vehicle, you're going to have to, uh, you know, I don't think you have to necessarily get it notarized, but you might have to, right? Like in some cases, as far as transferring the title over, you got to sign this paper. They got to go register it as the new owner. There's an element of trust involved in there. That it's difficult, right? Cars are expensive, right? So you got to get a cashier's check. Sometimes you take people to the bank to make sure funds transfer. It's very, it's kind of a stressful task, right? Now, let's convert that over into NFTs. If all your registration were NFTs, right, and you have Ford's database of their NFT collection, which is all their vehicle registrations, and you have ownership of your digital wallet, right, and let's just say that this is not anonymous, for this sake, right? You have to register yourself on Ford's, uh, you know, site, whatever it may be, to show ownership of your wallet. Now, when you hold that registration and somebody wants to buy it, you can have open bids online of everybody who wants to bid on your vehicle, on your registration. You can have all the information tied to it within a click, within a link. You can have instant funds transfer, instant title transfer, and instant verification without ever having to meet anybody.
Right.
Now, and it's all verified blockchain, right? It's non-fungible. That vehicle is tied to that number, right? That's serial number. And so it's like that process alone would be a lot easier. Now imagine that with your house. Have you ever bought a house and get that stack of paperwork and just sit there all afternoon signing, like, yeah, I read every single word of everything. Like, definitely didn't, you know what I mean? But you can have all that data digital, which is already going digital anyway, right? You're already docu-signing a lot of the stuff anyway. So I think that when you're buying
with the
houses.
with the signatures, something that's always like struck me is like we're signing things we nobody reads, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what is the
exactly.
point of putting my signature on this when I didn't read it? I know I didn't read it. If we have to go to
Yeah.
court, they don't even expect that you have read it. It's
No, but
really
you're
weird.
saying that you read it. So anything that's in there, you're liable for saying that you've acknowledged it.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like in
yeah,
theory you are, but like um from what I'm told, like if they've snuck in there, like, oh, we get your firstborn, or anything
yeah,
even remotely like non-standard, you're going to go to court and you're going to be like, hey, I didn't realize that I was agreeing to pay $1,000 per year in perpetuity, or whatever it is, and
yeah,
the judge is going to be like, yeah, of course you didn't.
yeah. Hopefully, right? Like I don't know how that would go. If you're a poker player, we've all had run bad, right?
Yeah,
You know, so,
yeah.
so yeah,
Okay,
but
so what you're
ultimately,
talking about, it at the moment goes by the term RWA, real world assets, or tokenized real world assets, right?
yeah, and digital ownership.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you already have a digital ownership of those things, is all I'm saying. Your ownership is not just in that paperwork. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of, I don't know, it's going to be a lot easier to transfer assets, right? Like right now, if they're saying Bitcoin takes too long and it's going to be 30 minutes, you're not going to be at Starbucks. And I don't know. I think Starbucks is taking Bitcoin now somehow. I don't know. Maybe they got an intermediate, uh, but the fact is like if you're waiting 30 minutes for a home transfer to go through, I think that's enough time. I think it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so I mean that's more of a crypto argument than an NFT argument, but it's like that receipt that home that is actually being purchased on is going to be a unique one of one, and that is where the NFT comes in. That is what an NFT is, right? And so another real world use case, if
Let
you're
me
a
just
sports
jump in on
fan.
this
Oh, go
real
ahead.
world assets for a second.
Mhm.
So we kind of talked that, like, NFTs were the new hotness a few years ago. When would you say like it kind of the bottom fell out or whatever? Yeah.
Pretty much on launch day of our
Of,
PokerGO
of of
NFT.
every
It
NFT?
was pretty much when the market took a big turn from its all-time high, took a rapid decline probably in like May, June of 2022 is probably when NFTs started their bear market.
Yeah.
And so
Okay. So just for purpose of our discussion, spring or summer of 2022. Anyway,
yeah.
they were super hot, and now they're super not. But the new hotness seems to be real world assets, which don't go by the term NFT a lot usually, even though they are. The idea here is instead of signing a bunch of papers, like on your house, for example, say like I own this house. In theory, if the government would cooperate, you could hand in a title for the house. Whoever controls this RWA, this NFT, they are the owners of the house. And then when you sell the house, you wouldn't have to get the government involved at all. It's very theoretical, but you could just transfer the NFT from one person to the next, transfer the money. It could go through simultaneously without trust, and the government wouldn't have to know. All they have to know when they need to is who's actually got this NFT. They could sign it and prove that they own the NFT, thereby proving that they own the house. And this is one of the areas where like Wall Street and whatever is a bit more on board with tokenized real world assets of stocks or houses or cars or gold bars, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I also understand the concern if we have, a government that wants their hand in every transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if they can't be the middleman, they're not going to be able to get their cut. They're not going to like it, right? And so that makes sense on any business platform, right? And actually, when you want to talk about the turn of NFTs, I can bring it back probably to the spring of 2022 when you really want to think about it. And it was probably right around the time that OpenSea said that they were no longer going to enforce creator fees. And so we can go down that rabbit hole for a minute if you'd like.
One of the questions that I was asked is, oh, didn't NFTs tank? Aren't NFTs over? Are NFTs over?
No, they don't end. They won't. They won't. And I will explain why people think NFTs are over.
Okay.
And I will explain like where the market's at and why it's there, and in my opinion, right? And so the reason common people who are not crypto people and NFT people heard about Bored Apes
Yeah.
is because people that they idolize started paying a lot of money for these Bored Apes,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, oh, Justin Bieber paid over $1 million. Eminem pays 700 grand or whatever it is,
Right.
whatever it is.
Madonna.
Madonna, whoever it is, they're buying these
Yeah.
pictures of these Bored Apes, these JPEGs, right? Why?
Right.
Right? Why?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like
Yes.
they seem like smart people. Why would they do that? Right? Is it just the flex? And then you find out, like, oh, well, it is this elitist club. Okay. They do have these private parties, they have all these accesses if you're in this club.
Yeah.
But then the bigger question and the more important question is, why are you hearing about it? Like, how did you like? Do you hear about everything that Madonna buys?
Right.
Right? And so it's like I'm sure there's more outlandish things than a picture, for chump change in their world, right? And so the reason you're hearing about it is because there was hype, there was marketing, there were people that were benefiting by getting this in front of people and getting this market big. There is a company called OpenSea, which is one of many, but it
That's
is
OPENSEA.
correct, OpenSea.io. And I like to think of it as, let's say, the eBay for NFTs.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
It makes it very easy to, search, find, buy, sell, trade NFTs. In that hype cycle, and one of the first big business models for OpenSea was to get the NFTs, or not OpenSea, for any NFT project, was get NFTs in people's hands, right? I don't care if you do it for free, get it in their hands. And then they would hype it up to create trade, high volume trade on OpenSea for people buying this. So let's say you get a free NFT put in your wallet and you go, oh, okay, free NFT.
It's usually called an airdrop.
Yeah, airdrop, right? Airdrop, free NFT. It's in your wallet. You're going to say, okay, I don't know what this gets me. It just showed up. I'm going to go sell this, right? Let's pretend scams don't exist and
Okay.
that people put bad
This is a
stuff in your
nice
wallet,
fiction.
right? So in this nice fiction of you getting this free NFT that means nothing to you because you don't know where it goes, what it's good for, and you go, oh, people are selling this for $20 right now. Like, I'm gonna go sell mine for 15 and get free $15. Okay.
Yeah.
Then everybody that bought theirs at $15 to $20, they're gonna see that these NFTs are now going for $50. Okay, I'm gonna go sell mine for whatever, double my money. Hey, I got my money back. I bought two of these. I get one for free. I sold one off, right? And then the cycle continues, right? And so it rolls up, rolls up. It's
Kind of
basic.
the famous tulip mania.
There you go. Okay. Now, what if everybody on Twitter and everybody that owns these is so excited about these that they're telling everybody in the world about it, right? Eminem gets in, right? All these people get in, and now everybody else feels like, hey, I want to be involved with this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, every single one of those trades that's happening on OpenSea, a small percentage of that trade goes back to the original creator,
Okay,
right?
great. So this is
And
the creator. Um,
this,
what is
this
it?
is the
Creator
create.
fee? What is it called?
Um,
When on the new
uh,
when you
It might,
transfer one?
yeah, it might be creator fee. Yeah, yeah. So originally, these were built into contract, and every single time one was bought, you'd get a percentage, 5%. I think OpenSea, or sorry, PokerGo's might have been 7.5%. And then that percentage usually gets divided between development and all sorts of other stuff, right? But some of these business models were more to inspire trade as opposed to initial sale. So if you have 10,000 pieces and you sell them for $100, you make $1 million, right? But
Mhm.
if you can get them out free and you can inspire 50 million worth of trade, like all you need is a 2.5% creator fee to make that same $1 million.
Just tell us what is a creator fee?
So the creator fee was built into the contract specifically for whoever built this NFT, that they would get residuals on every single trade through an actual marketplace forever. So if the NFT increases in value, that percentage increases in value. And so in that downward cycle, I think it was actually February of 2022. There was, in my opinion, there were so many other small marketplaces that found a way either crediting back that creator fee, or they were found a way around to where it was optional. And so it started eating into OpenSea's, uh, let's say, their market, right? People aren't going to go pay the extra 5% over at OpenSea if they can go get cheaper somewhere else. And so OpenSea made it to where that is now optional, where if you want to support the creator, which is the heart of a lot of these NFT spots, is creator to fan base or consumer, directing consumer, you can do that. But I think that we see the majority of people that are just buying things for money are going to save money wherever they can. And I think that now it made it to where you can't just put out a free NFT project, put out hype, and make your money on the back end.
Take a quick step back from this. The idea is let's talk about a painting, right? Like there's famously, starving artists and they're making paintings and they're happy to paint and sell them for whatever they can get as long as it's enough to like live on, right? Because, this is their labor of love, if you will, but they still have to eat and they still have to have somewhere to live, right? And then at some point, this person's talent is recognized maybe after they're dead, and their paintings suddenly have, 1,000 times increase in value, but that doesn't help the starving artist at all. He might have sold his painting for $500 and then it's resold for half a million dollars, $500,000, and the artist in the real world gets no cut of that. So I think people like Mark Cuban were kind of touting this idea. I mean, he's jumping on the bandwagon, but he's like the most famous person I can think of that's like, oh, creator fees is going to change this whole thing. Where when it's an NFT maybe that you sell for $500 and then it's resold for $500,000, and instead of the original creator getting nothing from that resale, there's a built-in 5 or 10%, I think is pretty typical, where that the original creator gets 5 or 10% of the sale price when it is transferred.
That sounds exactly correct.
Okay, now the problem is that it's really unenforceable.
Yeah. But prior to the downfall of the NFT market in that February, March, if you really want to see the big turn in 2022, the world's largest exchange that enforced all those fees decided to make it optional.
Right.
So when people say our NFT's dead, they've shifted,
Mhm.
So
So without an intermediary, like you said, the eBay of NFTs, OpenSea, and there are a couple others. I use Magic Eden sometimes.
Magic
Any,
Eden. Mhm.
yep.
And I think that they just made it optional now.
So in the absence of eBay, this intermediary, there's no way to how much was paid for that NFT.
Correct. Without a common mark, like, or let's say a service, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes. With when I'm going to the unenforceable part, I'm saying like without somebody like Magic Eden, OpenSea getting in the middle.
correct. Like if I wanted to buy an NFT off of you directly, right?
Yeah.
I would have to either give you the money first, or you would have to give me the NFT first. So there's an element of trust again, right? Now we're getting back to that old school way of, is this person going to send it to me, right?
That's it's not entirely true, but in the simplest way to make that transfer, it is true.
Yes, yeah, like without
But
a third party.
as far as the creator fees go, like a common thing that I hear is like when you sell your used car, maybe a friend, I don't know, maybe a stranger, like you
Yeah.
don't actually write the price that was sold for on the title
Yes.
because there's
Yeah.
some kind of
Taxes.
tax or transfer fee, right? So you might
Mhm.
sell your car for $20,000 and you write down that you sold it for $10,000 so that you pay half of the taxes. So a similar thing could be done for NFTs, but there's really even less enforcement. So if I sell my Bored Ape NFT to you for $100,000, but I don't want to pay the original creator a 5% tax on that, I
Mhm.
might just say I sold it to you for $1,000,
Yeah.
and then
Or you
send
might
them.
just transfer it into my wallet
Yeah.
and we would exchange funds elsewhere outside if there's an element of trust there, right? And so like it does get around that creator fee. And which is one and sorry to cut you off here. It's one of the biggest issues that I think that most people that got into that space at that time did not foresee. And the ones who did foresee it are still thriving and, in my opinion, doing well. And
Yeah.
so, and those are the ones like you'll look behind me. I have Hero, right?
Uh-huh.
Green HRO. Not to just plug my hobby. They're partnered with DC Comics and they do digital collectible cards. And they have their own marketplace where they charge their own 10% for every single transaction that has to happen on their site. Now, these are genuine NFTs, Ethereum based, where I can pull it off of their site if I would like to. It's a layer two site, right? So I'm not paying gas when I'm transferring that on their page, right? It makes it very easy, really easy marketplace for you to buy, sell, trade. They do have everybody KYC, which is know your customer, which means that you're going to have to verify who you are. So that way there is a taxable liability there, right? So if you do transfer that way on their stuff, it's all blockchain, everybody knows. But if you pull it out onto an Ethereum wallet and transfer it into another Ethereum wallet, we can go the old school way of paying gas and sending it to people's wallets with these cards as well. Um,
You could even say that I didn't even sell it. I just transferred it from one of my wallets to
Yeah,
another one.
I like this guy. Yeah, exactly. Whatever, or you can say it got stolen if you want. I mean, there's so much anonymous stuff that can happen there. But they go ahead.
So the promise of these creator fees, where the original creator would benefit from appreciation and value of their creation, is not being upheld, right? Because OpenSea and others in 2023 looks like uh, stopped enforcing it. And I've seen this. It's a checkbox when you buy or sell an NFT. You say, I want to pay the creator fee. I don't want to pay the creator fee, and it'll say like the creator suggests this percent, but I
Yeah.
think that you can just choose whatever percent you actually want. So, I mean, I think when I've done it, I've paid it every time because it's really not that much, and it makes me feel like, hey, I'm doing something or whatever. I'm not
Well,
spending
it
big
keeps
money
that
on
ecosystem
NFTs.
going, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So it's kind of like a tip, right? Like nobody
yeah.
makes you tip the waiter
Right.
or waitress, but you do because you feel like the 10, 20 bucks, whatever it is that you're giving. Now I sound cheap. 100 bucks, huh? The $100 that you're giving as a
Depends what
tip.
you're getting. Are you getting coffee? I mean, come on,
$100 that you're giving as a tip to the waiter or waitress, you feel good about that, or you avoid, kind of negative social consequences of being, a bad tipper, or like you look good to your date or whatever. There is possibly social conventions or pressures that might bring these creator fees back into like the core of NFT space.
I mean, it could
But for
happen.
now, at least, the OpenSea and the big ones have said we're not going to force you.
Correct. And I think that it makes every company that decides that they want to go on that business model create measures to create their own marketplace where they can control the fees, if that's the business model, you know? And so I think that that's where
Like
everybody kind of
Hero,
got
you were
to.
just talking about for
Yeah,
VC,
they have their own shop. They don't care what OpenSea does.
right?
That's not where their volume's at, right? And like I said, they have ways of incentivizing people to keep it on their platform, via rewards and whatever it is. But I think it's a great example of um, how they can create a revenue stream, um, that will continue business, you know? And so everybody knows, like, if you're in basic business, if you don't have continuous income, you're not going to have continuous output, right?
Right.
And so everybody that started an NFT project saying, "Hey, I'm gonna make $1 million on my NFT project," it's like, now you have a community, now you have a responsibility. What are you getting in exchange for that, right? A lot of people promise the world, right? And a lot of people don't promise anything, right? And so, like, there's lots of different ways of going about it. And some people watching this are gonna be like, "Well, that's silly. Why would I pay to be a part of this community?" Right? And they
Yeah.
might be sitting there in their favorite sports team shirt now, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so, like, if you go to any sports event, you're going to see a lot of people that pay a lot of money to represent a brand, to be a part of a community, and they're
Yeah.
validated by the people in that community, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that that is probably the easiest parallel between NFT communities and, let's say Web 2, is there's probably a lot more money spent in sports that are just another brand, right?
For
And they're going
sure.
to hate on the opposing team, but that's all the same brand, right?
So let's just try to talk about this a little bit, which is like, how do NFTs get their value?
Okay.
So the
Um,
one analogy you made was like a Rolex, which tells the same time as a Casio or whatever cheap watch is. You've talked about like some sports collectibles.
I think it's based on the community, right? The people that see value in that, right? So it's like, you even brought up a dollar as being a fungible item. And if you go to dollar collectors,
Yes.
there are lots of dollars that are non-fungible to them, right? Look, the people that play liar's poker might want seven of the same digit, right? Right? And if you go look up on eBay, find a seven of the same digit dollar bill, it's likely selling for more than $1, right?
Yeah.
And so
We
there
also said
is,
like all Bitcoin are the same, but
they're
that's
not.
changed recently as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Where
exactly.
what do they call that? Ordinals?
Yeah. So we can go down that hole also.
Yeah,
And
we probably
I think,
shouldn't.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I think that the more people understand what is being laid out here, I think that you're going to have bigger people seeing the vision and bringing these connections, right? When I fell into the job at PokerGo, and I say fell into it because I was 6 months into this crypto space, or sorry, this NFT space. December 2021 is when I bought my first community-based NFT, and it was a group that were marketers. And
Yeah.
so we
Okay,
had,
let's go down like your personal story with this. Top off this kind of like value subject real quick. The technical term is like the subjective theory of value. Like something has value because other people think it has value, basically. One example I use a lot is Tom Brady had he threw his last touchdown pass, and it sold for like $500,000.
yeah,
I could be wrong with the numbers, right?
yeah,
Then he retired, and that's why the ball was worth so much. It was the last one. Then he unretired, and the ball immediately lost like 80% of its value because it wasn't the last one anymore, right? But it's the same molecules, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
nothing about the ball has changed, but it's the story, it's
yeah.
the demand for it, it's the
The
uniqueness of
history,
these things. Yeah, the
yeah,
history. Another example is I say like you walk into my house and I show you, oh hey, this is a Rembrandt. Like that is a cool story. Like holy cow, you have an original Rembrandt, right?
yeah,
You walk into my house and I show you a painting that is completely indistinguishable from a Rembrandt, but I'm like, oh yeah, they printed up 10,000 of these and I got one on Amazon.
yeah,
It's just a totally different story. Like,
yeah,
nobody but like somebody whose profession is to know the difference could tell the
yeah,
difference. It's the same ambiance add to your house or whatever, but the story is different. The availability, the supply is different. One is
Yeah.
unique, one is like just easily reproducible. So there's a lot to it, and you touched on a lot of those things. I just wanted to add a
Well,
few things. Well,
I appreciate that. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that when you really do talk about value, it's really difficult because it all relies on whomever is there at that time, right? Value, nothing has value until the transaction's been made, right? Until there's an actual sale, right? When people are saying things are priceless, um, that's because like monetary value doesn't equal the ability to replace something,
right.
right? And so you can talk about a real Rembrandt, or you can talk about your child's first painting that might be framed next to it and saying, like, which one can you replace?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so how much value of it does it come into monetary terms? And I think that the easiest way to really think about anything's truest value is just act like you have $1 trillion in the bank. Act like money doesn't matter and really look at what it is that you're looking at and see what the value is.
Yep.
Someone on a deserted island would much rather have a hamburger than $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. All
So
right.
but
All right. So we tried to tackle some of the big general questions. Let's
yeah.
kind of ground this, and why don't you tell me about your experience both, privately and professionally with NFTs.
Okay. Personal history. Uh, I got into the NFT space, like I said, in December of 2021. Not counting like buying like Top Shot in that summer prior NBA Top Shot cards randomly, right? But as far as community based, right? Like got into Discord, got onto Twitter, and kind of like understood uh, where NFT communities live, right? And so this group I was part of, it was a small group, maybe 350 pieces, I think it was, and there's 200 of us, and we would partner up with other groups and help them launch their project, right? Give them a small marketing team of people to help get their word out in exchange for some of their NFTs, And at that time, everybody was putting out a 10,000 piece project, right? So giving out 200 pieces of something that doesn't have any value yet seemed not too difficult for a lot of these groups, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was a fair trade, right? So we buy this one NFT and then we got, 10 or 12 uh, other NFTs by doing a little bit of legwork for all some of these like launch projects, right?
Sure.
And sometimes we bought more into them, sometimes we didn't, but we all got in these Twitter spaces, we all got into Discord meetings 5 days a week, everybody had different roles. Like it was a really, really well executed project. And
Yeah.
so,
As somebody who kind of knows tech, but
mhm,
doesn't know marketing, like if I were creating a project like that, I would love to have somebody who would do the legwork, as you're saying, for
yeah,
a share of this thing that I'm creating.
there's downfalls with that type of like business also, because it's like if I don't like the project, I don't care about the project. As soon as I get that free NFT, right, you get right on OpenSea, and then you're selling it and undercutting the market, and
Sure.
and so that could be a difficult thing also. And so but it was fun, right? And to me, it taught me a lot of how the space operated, right? And like how to move people from 200 people in a Twitter space to a private Discord server. And I don't know, super fun, very fast moving. The business meetings in the morning were great. We'd have 20, 25 people, some people from the new project, and everybody from their own department, and a lot of yelling, but it was all everybody just doing things that they care about doing things the right way, right? And wanting to represent our people well. So anyway, so that led me off into the abyss of like just searching new projects on OpenSea and just lots of other um, different websites that I would go to see what's new and up and coming, right? And so this is a really fun story for me. I find this company called NFT Stadium, right? And NFT Stadium was this really small launching platform, and they were going to partner with different sports and entertainment companies and launch their NFT projects, right? Be that service for a Web 2 company coming into Web 3 and start an NFT project for them, right? And so I bought one of those, being like, they seem legit. I don't know. Like there was a lot of gambling back in that time, So like I'd buy lots of different NFTs that hadn't launched yet, hoping that they'd pop off, right? And so a few months later, I have a friend who's a poker fan, and he's saying, "Hey, I'm watching this thing on YouTube, and I saw something that said poker and NFTs." And I'm like, "Huh." I'm like, "Well, I know a couple poker groups that are in the NFT space, but I haven't seen anything on like TV, right?" And I'm like, "So let's check it out." So I find this YouTube, uh, this whatever hand he was looking at, and this ad pops up, and it says PokerGO an NFT Stadium. And it's funny because at that point, I didn't know who PokerGO was because I didn't watch a lot of poker, right? I knew who NFT Stadium was because I just bought them 2 months prior, right? And this project that I thought was going to be pretty neat. So then I get into NFT Stadium Discord, and it's kind of slow running. And then I find out who PokerGO is. I'm like, wow, this is
Right.
pretty huge.
So just for
Uh,
the audience, PokerGo is kind of the Netflix of poker.
yeah, that's probably the easiest way to say it.
Yeah. Launched
They're
in
definitely
2017.
yeah, world's largest subscription-based poker streaming site. They pretty much have all the poker shows that you've seen from the last 20 years. They're the official streamers of World Series of Poker. Um, Most big poker shows are PokerGo, right?
Yep.
And so when I do a little research into that, I find their Discord, and their Discord was relatively new, and they had some of the same admin in the NFT Stadium and PokerGo. And so I'm like, oh well, maybe they're working together. And so I started asking questions, and I'm like, wow, PokerGo has like 500,000 subscribers at that time, and I'm like, but their Discord had 1,800 people in it,
Uh-huh.
right? And so me as like I said, NFT degen, I'm like, wow, is this even real? Right? Like, is this the same PokerGo? Right? Like,
Yeah.
uh, right?
Because the
And then
numbers were so paltry.
yeah, and even in NFT Stadium, I feel like they had like 300 people in it, and I'm not trying to knock anything. Everybody has to start from somewhere, but I was basically gambling that everything had just started and hadn't reached its full potential yet, right? And so asking some questions and hey, when's launch date? What is this? And what's this PokerGo NFT project? And so when I heard about what the project was, I got really excited, right? And so the project was 1,326 Texas Hold'em hands, right?
Yep.
So every two card combination that you can get uh, in Texas Hold'em was going to be launched on blockchain by PokerGo NFT.
Mhm.
And so at that time, they said owning one of these hands will get you a subscription to PokerGo,
Yep.
um, and PokerGo
Lifetime
subscription,
subscription.
lifetime
For as
subscription,
long
right?
as you own the NFT. I
Correct.
think as of right now, probably the way it'll be for a long, long time. Every 3 months, you have to basically prove that you own the NFT still.
We have different ways of measuring that. We when we first launched, we did that mainly to prevent people from buying, activating a subscription and then immediately selling, right?
Yeah.
Undercutting the floor, and that was
Yeah.
pretty much during launch. We basically you'll register your NFT in our Discord, and this is another, plug for NFTs and some of the apps is they're able to verify your wallet and the actual NFT project and change your role in these apps. So in Discord, if you didn't own an NFT, you might have 5 channels available to you. If you do have an NFT and verify it, your role changes and you're open to maybe 15 channels, right? And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes in some of these Discord channels if you're not on, on the in crowd, right? And so we verify that holder access, and if that changes, if you sell your NFT, that role will change.
Okay.
And so when we get updates in Discord that roles change, that's a way that we can go back and run it through and either remove subscriptions. But basically, anybody who's held it for a little while, forget the exact date, but we activate them for a year now, and so we'll check every year, just go back through the roles sheets and make sure everybody still holds a role. And so a lot of people, they've minted it, they got the role, and then they never go to Discord again. They're just here you go. I don't have to pay my $100 a year now ever, right?
Yes.
And so when you're talking real world assets, real world value, um, you can probably pick up PokerGo NFT for probably less than a annual subscription right now, and never have to pay for an annual subscription again.
Yeah,
And so,
I actually looked those up yesterday, I think, and
mhm.
the bid ask spread for the cheapest of those was something like $75 to under 200. So people are saying, I definitely will pay $75 for any of these. And some people are saying, like, I definitely will sell these for under $200. So, the price somewhere is in there, and you could get a lifetime subscription basically for somewhere between the cost of a 1 year subscription and a 2 year subscription.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I mean, a few weeks ago there I saw some for 50, $60, And so a lot of people had multiple of these and, trying to tie it all in together. The reason is because some people just want their favorite hands, right? Some people are
Yeah.
like, oh, like when I was in this interview, I was in an interview with the president of the company. Um, I told him, I said, this is fun for me because my screen name is the B-52 bomber, right? I'm
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Because
comes from my
five deuce is
favorite
your
poker
favorite
hand
hand.
being five deuce. And I'm like, and that
Excellent. Excellent.
was for 20 years. Like when I first started dealing cards back in when, early 2000s, that was my favorite hand. And that was kind of my nickname around the clubs. And so when I need to come up with an alias, I'm like, well, I already have one. That's an easy one. B-52 bomber. I'm like, but as a collector, I'm like, I'm going to try to get all the five deuces, right? There's 16 of them. And I'm like, I'm going to try and get them all. And I think I
Okay.
got
Okay.
I got half of them. But
Do
like,
you?
yeah, yeah.
That's
No
funny.
one's selling them. No one's selling them. And so,
That's cool.
but I have like
All
an
right.
aces, I have an ace king, and but
Right.
that's yeah, the fun side of that, right?
Okay. So
Um,
just to interject
mhm.
myself into the story, in 2022, I heard about this project. I play a little poker with Duckworth.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
love
yeah,
Tim. Love Tim.
yeah. He wasn't such a big name back then. Now he's like a big shot over at PokerGo.
It's the
But
mustache. It's the mustache. That's what it is.
it is good. It is good. The real like sweeper or something. I don't know what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
So he actually like texted me, I think through Facebook, and said like, "Oh, hey, have you like minted a PokerGo NFT yet?" And even
Nice.
though I'm big into crypto, I don't think I'd even heard of it until he
Yeah.
sent that to me. And I was like, "No, okay, I'll go do it right now." I don't remember exactly what I paid, but it wasn't that much. Given that the promise was lifetime subscription to PokerGo, which can't be guaranteed, but up to this point, PokerGo has 100% delivered on that promise,
Mhm.
and a free roll, which was if you divide the prize pool of I think $25,000 by the number of people who could be in it, you can say, okay, the value there is around 200
200
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah. Okay. So
200
that's
bucks if
how
you're
I
playing in an alley on a cardboard box.
yeah. So I
So,
minted one. You got dealt a random two cards basically from the deck without replacement. There's 1,326 unique hands. And I got King 10 offsuit. I don't remember what the suits were. So I was like, okay, and I planned to go to Vegas in December of 2022 to play this free roll. So that's how I got first entwined into the story.
I love it. It's really hard for me to let's say like talk about like how some of that stuff came across without kind of seeming arrogant with it.
Hmm.
But when a couple weeks into my job, I
Yeah.
got
Well, I will
called
say,
in.
like right from the beginning, you said like, I don't want to say anything bad about PokerGo and those people and all that kind of stuff. So, I hope that anybody watching, doesn't take it in that way. We're just walking through the history of NFTs, and while I just said, PokerGo is 100% fulfilling their promises on the NFTs, at the same time, maybe not everything went as good as it could have gone for this NFT project that we're going to talk
I think I don't have anything bad to say about
about.
PokerGo or anybody there. Like I think it was a great operation. I think it was a fun time. I think it was set up to do exactly what it did, right? We had one small collection to sell out. Um, After, like I said, a few weeks into the job, when and actually what got me excited about the job, this is one of the things that I didn't touch on. Depending on which hand you had, there was talks about being able to play your hand with the actual poker stream, which is why the subscription comes into play, right? Because they want you to watch the actual live subscription or like live programming. So let's say you do have your King 10 offsuit and you're watching live programming and your King 10 comes up and it wins, right?
Right.
You're supposed to win something because your hand won.
Right.
So you're buying a piece of poker history here that's like official with the streaming platform that provides the poker to you,
Yeah.
right?
It can be
And
used
so
as like a lottery ticket. And not a
like a
lottery
lottery
ticket,
ticket,
really. More like
raffle.
a raffle ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so when we talked about that, that's what got me interested in this job. I go,
Right. Because
here's
you're
something,
watching the World Series of Poker final table and
and
somebody wins a
and you
big
can
pot
win.
with five deuce. Maybe they win, that's the winning hand of the tournament.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
not only are you
And
excited because that's your hand, so to speak, your
yeah,
favorite hand, but you
yeah, but
own the hand in the, PokerGo
correct,
NFT space and you win a
correct.
prize. So,
Yes. And so that's where I said, I'm like, I love poker and I don't watch a lot of poker because mainly it's not as entertaining. I played so much poker, I feel like it's going to be very rare for me to see a situation that I haven't seen in or been in, or, very rarely I'm going to see a bet that I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. Right.
right.
And, even like when you add more money to it, uh, to me as a consumer, I don't know if it's their money, if it's real money. And, watching billionaires play for millions doesn't really hit the same for me, right?
Yeah.
And so um either way, and I'm not saying that's always the case, with poker. I'm just saying like there's lots of reasons why it was very difficult to entertain me watching poker. But
Yeah.
now everybody, let's go back to the web 2 side. Anybody who's been to a Super Bowl party has bought football squares, right? Right? Like everybody, it's like my team, I'm a Raider fan. It's been a long time since I've seen my team in the Super Bowl and been buying football squares, right? But everybody, like I've bought football squares every year, so now I have a vested interest in this game. If my numbers hit, I get to win part of this prize pool, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I said, hey, that's fun, and I think that'll catch on big. And I think that you're going to have a group of 500 people that buy up more than one hand because they want multiple chances at winning something. And I said, my interest is, how are you going to continue doing this forever? Because you have one source of income and then you have unlimited hands for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I'm like, so even if you're paying $1, you're going to run out of money eventually. So if you don't solve the income problem, you're not going to be able to continue this long, right? And
Sure.
so I got on board with the anticipation that we would figure out ways to resolve that. And let's just say that we didn't.
So let's try to
So
focus a little less kind of like on your personal story, but more about like the NFTs and what the NFTs did in PokerGo with the idea of like an example of how NFTs could be used or maybe are not properly used or all like.
perfect. So the hand play portion of it held up because it was technically a sweepstakes, right? So we had to make sure that we had all the language right, no purchase necessary, all that kind of stuff. And we got it going.
Yeah.
One of the things that we discussed was, you know, I can figure out ways to make low cost rewards, but there's going to be a need to be an income source at the end to continue that eventually, right? And
Yes.
long story short, we did not do that, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we reverted the project down to simply just the subscription.
Yeah.
That's easy to monitor, cheap, continuing on. So,
Yes.
but what
So I
we
can think of a couple good ways that like kind of it has recurring benefits for the creator.
Mhm.
One is the creator rewards that we were talking about. I don't think that would be the main thing that would be of interest for someone like PokerGo, but the other way
Correct.
is to keep people like tied into the community, so they want to continue to interact with PokerGo's products because they're tied in with this NFT that they care about and own.
Correct. Correct. And so, when I was thinking about it, it's how does PokerGo make their money now, right? And
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know, right? So like it could be advertisers, it could be subscription. I'm sure it's a group of ways that they generate their income. And so I feel like the best value for the business of PokerGo was to have a small community of 500 people kind of banging the drum for them, right?
yeah,
Like if you had that social media presence, you have a social media team, they're putting out posts. If you have 500 people retweeting and shouting that from the rooftops, it's going to reach a lot more people. I feel like there's has to be a value associated with that, right?
mhm,
And so I think that that's probably the biggest um, income source that I feel like they could gain from such a small community. Everybody else putting out 10,000 piece projects, it makes sense for people to be able to influence trade and get those creator fees. But with 1,326 pieces, with most people buying to hold, so that way they get a lifetime subscription,
Uh-huh.
It's not a business model from the beginning to influence a lot of trade, right?
Mhm.
And so the hand play might have influenced the trade, but I still didn't think there was enough pieces for that to be the income source, right?
Right. And if there's some kind of sweepstakes like you're talking about, like you're going to tune in because what is it? I own ace four of hearts, right? So,
Uh-huh. Yep.
I might tune in because I know that if the ace four of hearts wins the tournament, then I get some kind of prize.
Correct. Yeah. And so I wanted to make it, personally, being a poker DJ, and I'm like, it needs to be every hand. It needs to be every hand to get people to tune in. And based on our small market size of like, we did create a product. It was another collection, and these are called Major Moments, PGT Major Moments. And so
Yep.
if you looked into that collection at all, there's, I believe, 30 pieces that are all one of ones that are from a specific event.
Well,
So
let's wrap up the first one. The first one was called Genesis, right?
the Genesis NFT, correct?
And
Yeah.
you ran a free roll in December. Now, I wasn't able to make it to that, so I actually sold my NFT, and I think I might have even turned a little profit on it.
Probably around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, because whoever bought that NFT would then be allowed into this free roll. Do you know like how many people showed up for that? I know it was like 25K prize
Yeah.
pool.
Yeah. It was, I think, 137, I think, total people got in. I think we had
Oh
around,
wow. Only
yeah.
137 people showed up.
Yeah, but when you look at a global group of 500 people, and getting, 25% of them roughly to fly to Vegas in December and be able to make it for this event. A lot of that cost, first place was $5,000. So I don't know
Yeah.
how other people's Vegas trips go, but it might not be a great ROI if they're flying from halfway around the world, right? But people did. We did have people come from the UK. We did have people come from all over because it was more of a community event, right? It's their
How many
buddies that
people
we.
showed up for it?
I think we had 137 after.
137. All right,
Yeah.
let's go with the 137 number. And it was
Mhm.
$25,000 prize pool, right?
Yep.
182. How am I getting either between 182,
Yeah, it's probably around there.
$182 per attendee?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. If there's 100 people, it'd be 250, right? So 250 a head. So yeah, a little less.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, so there's a real world value right there, right? But like I said, that was not on the table when the project initially launched,
Okay.
right? And so originally it was more about this hand play and getting people to watch the stream, give them the subscription, get them engaged with the programming in a new way that we hadn't seen before, right? And so we came up with the PGT Major Moments, which were going to be these one of ones. We take a picture of whoever won it. We get their digital autograph on some of them. We started getting some pushback, I guess, from some players. So that kind of let us out of the digital autographs. But the whole point was to get this official one of one from PokerGo, commemorating a specific event, right? And
Yeah.
so, and even
So,
these
and if you
maintain
wanted to look
value.
these up, you could find them on OpenSea. I'm not sure where
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
PGT Major Moments by PokerGo.
Yep.
And
They're super fun, super fun. And so a few weeks into the job, like once we sold a good chunk right at the beginning, right on launch, and then a few weeks in, it starts to get stale, right? And so I'm in this meeting, and I'm in there with the president of the company and the owner of the company, Carrie and Maury, and like I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, like I'm excited because it's like they're asking me, hey, what's up with this NFT project? When I'm sitting here
I'm
talking with them,
sharing
oh, I
PGT
see it. I
on
got you.
OpenSea. So it's
Nice.
they all have the two card combination that somebody won a tournament with, and then a picture of them holding up, the trophy or whatever, and
Yeah. Custom
the name of the
background.
tournament that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Poker Cup in
And
there. Now you see that green one right there. That's one of my favorites. And so that is the only event there that's not an actual PGT event. And that is the winner of our NFT Invitational that came out in
yeah.
December of 2022. And
Okay, great.
so
That could have been
uh,
me.
could have been you,
Yeah.
should have been me. No, either way, the point is like when I'm in this meeting with everybody and I'm talking about the NFTs, I'm like, hey, this is about getting a community together behind the brand, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, you guys as a brand, let's say we didn't think about money at all. And you said, hey, I have 500 of your biggest fans of your company. I'm like, what does your company do that nobody else can do? right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, they're a fan of your poker streams, of your shows, and I'm like, they're spending 200 bucks, 300 bucks to save $100 a year, right?
Hmm.
I'm not really trying to insult anybody, but I'm like, this is not like the people that are buying this because they think it's the next Bored Ape, right? Like they're buying this because there's a real value associated with it, and they can
Okay.
see the
Yeah.
value in saving $100 a year, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, um, they're not the ones that are playing your 5,000, 10,000, 25, $50,000 buy-ins at your studio, right? And
Okay.
I'm like, wouldn't it be great to give them that experience though? Wouldn't it be
Okay.
great to invite your fans down here, invite a bunch of pros down here, give them the TV experience. Let's put it on PokerGo. We'll do the final table stream and give them the experience of it without the money. And Kerry was like, I love it. We'll give him a $25,000 free roll. I'm like, okay, that's excessive.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's great. Thank you. I'm like we would do it for shirts, like just to be able to go
Have
play in the studio, be on TV and live your poker dream, right? Play up
an
against these pros.
excuse to go to Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. An excuse to go to Vegas. Hey, it validates their club, right? Like at that time, everybody who bought an NFT, everybody in their family is like, oh my God, you're crazy. Why are you buying this? And it's like, well, now I get to go play at the studio in Vegas because I spent 200 bucks. You know what I mean? It's just like, it gives everybody, validation in what they're doing. Right. And so
Yeah.
they above and beyond, because that's what they do. And so $25,000 free roll, everybody got to come down there. We've been playing poker together online for gift cards and apparel
Yeah.
through our Discord community. And now we all get to play in real life. Right. So it's
Yeah.
always like, I don't know. It was a really great experience. Really, really, really fun time. I'm sorry you missed it.
So that's going back to the Genesis, right?
That came back to the Genesis. So
Yeah.
that the PokerGo
And then the major
PGT
moments,
series,
like
those are all rewards.
I was talking with a poker friend of mine yesterday, the day before. I was saying like, he's not a crypto believer, which is cool.
Yeah,
But I was saying like if they had a PGT, I guess it wouldn't be PGT, but if they had a
yeah,
PokerGo major moment of the tournament where he won a bracelet, like
yeah.
I would totally buy that and
Right?
give it to him on his birthday or whatever.
Yeah,
Maybe since he's not a crypto guy, I'd even hold the keys. But
yeah.
I'd like give him a birthday card and say, "Oh, here, this is yours now," even though I've got the
100%.
keys. But
Yeah.
so
So I would say that's one of the
it's a
biggest
moment, it's a
issues.
story, it's one of one. It's
It's
kind of
history,
the thing,
right?
history. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's personal, to the person who
Hmm.
won that tournament.
Yeah.
Especially since it's like his only bracelet. As far as I can remember, the only bracelet of anybody who lives near me in the upstate New York area. So, it has some cachet. It has value because of those things.
Correct. Correct. Now, one of the funnest things about NFTs is that you can add utility because it's now verifiable, right? There's apps, there's different things that you can do. So now,
Right,
what if
right.
you own one of those and now all of a sudden you get an entry into another random tournament, like
Yeah,
a winners only tournament or something? Yeah, I mean, like it can kind of go on and on, right?
yeah.
And not to try to go too far off, but like if you're an NFL fan, every ticket you go to for the past few years, there is an NFT associated with it. And you can go on and look up
I
all
didn't
your
know that.
ticket stubs. They're NFT ticket stubs associated with, I think it's like it's through Ticketmaster, and these are
Okay.
actual NFTs, and some are 3D, some have little videos on them, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But everybody, historically used to keep their stubs in their drawer and everything, or their little photo albums, stuff like that. Like we are getting into the age of digital, where all that stuff is going to be um, kept for you, right? And they have
Okay.
their own marketplace, so you can buy old ticket stubs. So
Okay.
what if you collected all those and you got to go to a Super Bowl, or you got an
Yeah.
entry for a Super Bowl ticket? So there's
Yeah.
lots of different whatever. We'll not go down that path. So,
Yeah. No,
but
this
back,
makes a lot of sense. Like I've got a bunch of not even collectibles, but just like I'll go on vacation and I'll keep a brochure from, Tintagel or whatever castle. It's like, this thing doesn't preserve well, and it's something that I could probably just look up on the internet anytime I wanted.
mhm,
But I would just want to be reminded of that trip, right?
correct.
So
Yeah.
if I could instead have an NFT of this brochure or something that reminds me of that trip, it would preserve forever.
Like a digital passport, right?
Yeah.
And so actually there's a company called Mint Pass with Sam Simmons, who was actually former president of PokerGo and got me involved with this whole project in the first place, So look up Mint Pass. That's pretty neat. And I think that they're going to be doing some things along the lines of that, right? Part of that experience of having that invitational in 2022,
Yep.
like I said, 1 year after I got into this whole crypto space, um, was being able to put the average fan amongst all the greats, right? So when you go back to that PGT Major Moments
Yeah.
and we see Chris Deary up there next to Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu's super high roller bowl and all this kind of stuff, it's like
Sure.
historically now we have a collection of 30 pieces with
So
some of
just
the
to,
poker
I don't
greats.
think we put a fine enough point on this. You had the tournament in the PokerGo studios where
Oh
like
yeah,
all the $100,000 high roller bowl PokerGo tournament series events
yeah.
happen. They're
If you
in the
go into
same seats.
PokerGo,
They're
our
they're
event
they're
is there. Like you look it up, you can watch our final table now on
yeah.
PokerGo, right?
They're sitting in the
And
same chair where Daniel Negreanu's butt was maybe just the previous day.
that's right. That's right. And the same
Very
table,
exciting.
it's the same table. Actually, if you
Yeah,
look back
yeah.
here, that was on one of the tables at the Poker Championship,
Okay,
which was a personal endeavor, but I'm not going to go too far into that.
okay.
Right now with the Poker Go thing, we were able to put one of our community members in lights in that tournament, give him
Yeah,
his historic moment, right? The 5 grand I'm sure is gone, right?
right,
He won five
right,
grand for first place. I'm sure that's long gone, but he
right.
has an NFT. He can go up, show all his buddies, hey, here's when I won an event at the Poker Go studio, and that's what it was about, right? So
Yeah.
let's go to
I mean, here's an
January.
analogy I only just thought of, which is it's kind of an obvious one, honestly. Gold medal from the Olympics. Like they
Yeah,
don't make them out of gold. Their melt value is very low, but like the memory value, especially the person who won it, is almost priceless.
yeah, exactly. And it's recognition, right? It's validation from everybody else saying it's real, right? And
Yeah,
so come January after, 1 month after our invitational, our club that had already sold out, I think back in September or October, um, we got some new people. And they're like, hey, I want to come to the next invitational, right? I saw this on Poker Go. I want to come to the studio and I want to play there. I heard one of the announcers say we're going to do this every year, right?
uh,
Uh, right around that time is when the OpenSea thing hit.
yeah.
Uh, a lot of marketing shifted. We ended up not having another invitational,
Mhm.
and probably not going to put out the $100,000 event every year, right? And
So it
so,
could have been what, like a new round of
yeah,
1,326 NFTs or something
yeah,
tied to the major moments or
it might not,
basically
yeah, it might
anything.
not
But it
even
would have
had
been
to do
a new issuance of some NFT for the
funding.
2023.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
have an invitational, and then that would have been the answer. And I felt like that was just not an avenue that we wanted to go down, right? And so, I, as being a community leader and one of the advocates of seeing this succeed, I wanted to expand what we did for our community to all NFT communities. And I said, I'm like, I wanted to have an event to where lots of different poker projects come together and battle it out and on TV and get to advertise their projects. And we get to see like one winner, one project winner, one championship, essentially our NFT poker Super Bowl, right? And
yeah.
I'm like, that's what I wanted our invitational to be.
And that's
Because I
the
saw
2024 NFT Poker Championship, right?
correct. Yeah. So that was I worked with PokerGo, right? Like, and so I personally put that on with a few other sponsors, few groups threw in on that. Green Visor Gang was one of them. Deca Degeneracy, which is Jonathan Little's group. He
Yeah.
provided a bunch of people from poker coaching. So we had a really big fun party before where it was a meet and greet, take pictures, sign autographs with a lot of pros. We probably had about 20, 25 pros there. Um, and we basically just had a 7 hour stream where we had a bunch of different communities come together. So when you watch that, you're going to see a lot of different people from a lot of different communities just kind of coming together and talking about their projects individually, holding it down for their groups. Super, super fun, And so that's something that I I may continue to pursue uh, privately, with representing the NFT Poker Go Genesis crew, right? Like that's the club that
Yeah.
I'd be playing for, right? So we had some of those guys come out, and it was a $50,000 prize on that one, and
So was that
Yeah.
provided by PokerGo and the other sponsors? Like it was a free roll for the players?
Uh, it was not a free roll for the players. There
Okay.
were tickets to the event. Tickets were at $1,000. Um, there, I'm going to say there's probably about 80 people total, and a lot of them were not paid. So I put the bill for all of it, the majority of it, minus a few sponsors. And it was mainly R&D for me. I wanted to understand what it was like to run an event through PokerGo as a consumer. I wanted to kind of see what the overall costs were for certain things. And I wanted to see like what type of show they can put on with this specific type of budget.
Okay.
And
Just to
so,
break it down real quick, there's about 100 players, maybe a little less,
yeah.
$50,000 prize pool. You're saying the
Mhm.
players did pay to get in the tournament, or the players did not pay?
A lot of players, I mean, I'm going to say it was probably like a 60-40. Like the poker coaching ones were provided. Those were invited players. We had several people that won tickets. Some people bought through sponsorships,
Okay.
but
The people who bought in, though, how much did they pay?
um,
Bought in by somebody else.
just under 1,000 or under 1,100, depending on which
Okay.
community they were part of.
Okay.
So um, yeah, like I don't want to talk numbers. I
Okay.
took a
Sorry
good
then.
bath in that one. No, 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 you're good. You're good. Like I was expected to break even or lose when putting on that event, right? Like, and so like minus sponsorships, minus sponsorships. So
Right.
it wasn't set up specifically for me to make a whole lot of money. It was set up for me to be able to have the event and make sure that everybody that joined our club had a chance to come back down to the studio. I gave a lot of tickets away through our community, through various tournaments and free rolls, and gave everybody a good shot at trying to have that experience at a low cost.
Yeah. And this is not some unique, crazy idea. Like they have celebrity tournaments on
Yeah,
PokerGo and stuff like this a lot.
yeah, and actually, like we were ideating around the same time the Celebrity Poker Tour was starting, and then you might have seen one from Rare Evo that just happened last August. That was crypto focused. My theme, like I feel like every poker show is almost the same, right? Like you're just telling a different story, right? Different players, different costs, whatever it is. And so, like our story was trying to tell the NFT crypto story. So I wanted Bored Apes to be there. I wanted DJ Tunes to be there, and Lazy Lions, and whoever it is to just get with their crypto people and talk about their projects and you know find the poker people out of there and give them unique experience. So
Yep.
super
And
fun.
just interject myself in real quick again. I
Yeah.
just mentioned that I had minted one in 2022. I had to
Mhm.
sell that, couldn't attend the free roll. And then recently, I wanted to subscribe to PokerGo, and I'm like, hey, how much are the NFTs right now? I went
Yeah,
on. I paid a little extra because I wanted a hand that,
that you liked. Yeah.
like a playable hand.
Yeah.
So I wound up with Ace Four of Hearts, and I'm very happy with what I paid and what I get out of it. So I'm not a fan of NFTs, especially well, let's say this. In 2021, 2022, I was definitely amongst the skeptics of NFTs, even though I had
Yeah.
a few, right? But I think that there is plenty of potential in the space, and I think you can find projects that are worthwhile to you personally, or maybe to a broad swath of people.
Well, I will say, like I said, let's take money off the table here, right? Let's not think about money at all and just talk about experiences.
Yes.
From December 2021 to where we're at now, almost 3 years later, I, being a poker fan, got to work with some of the top poker players in the world. I got to, meet the president, meet the owner of PokerGo. Like being able to call up Maury is kind of a fun thing, right? Like great,
Oh
great
wow,
guy.
you got it like that, huh?
I mean, like we were on weekly meetings and there's small meetings, small groups and stuff like that. And it was just a super, super fun experience, right?
I call him
Um
Mr. Escandante. I don't have his phone, his number in my phone or anything. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And so, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so all, and I'm telling you, like salt of the earth, like these are like some of the most fun people. Tim's a great guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just like meeting these guys and like having the conversations that we've had. It was fun to work with people who actually care about what they're building. right? Work on a team of people that are wanting to build, right? And so, super fun for me there. In the collector side of it, like, I fell into this hero group. I've been to New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con working the booth for Hero because I
Wow.
fell into a group of collectors who are some of like my best friends now, right? And like we all
Yeah.
buy, sell, trade. We meet up, we talk, all that kind of stuff. And it's like the community and the people that I've met in this space and the education that I've gotten, just basic finances and um, marketing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
The experience is very, very valuable if you're not coming here specifically just to make a dollar. There's better ways to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Like lots of ways to make money. Trade crypto. That's probably a lot easier than trading NFTs. Making money. And
All
even that's
right.
getting harder, right? Sorry, that's not financial advice. I don't know if we have to say that, but yeah, definitely.
Well, I tell
Uh,
people not to trade crypto pretty much, but
Oh,
anyway.
sorry. I'm just saying that's easier than trading NFTs, trying to strike gold, hitting the next
Mhm.
board ape. Yeah, I mean, find things that are of actual value, right?
Yes.
And yeah, get that.
All right. Well, we tried to cover some broad topics on NFTs, and we really like narrowed into, a couple specific NFT projects and your work in that space, Brian. Thank you very much for coming on. Do you have a final word you want to share with the audience, or anything anywhere you want us to connect with you?
Well, you guys can always connect with me on, Twitter or Discord or the B-52 bomber. I don't think there's a whole lot of me out there,
Yep.
so
We'll
should
have
be
all
pretty
those
easy to
links in
find.
the show notes, including the tournaments that we talked about are for free available on YouTube. So we'll have those links.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I encourage people to just, I don't know, say yes to a lot of things. Like it was a very scary space when I got in here. I didn't know anybody. I knew one other person, and to see what I accomplished in a year, I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
that was a super fun time. I guarantee the people that went to my event, Chris Geary, for sure, I can call him up right now, and it's probably to date, he's been in poker for 20 years, and it's probably the best experience he's ever had. And like
Yeah.
that's why
He's
I'm
the
here.
guy who won the NFT Invitational. It was
Yeah,
essentially
yeah.
amateurs playing in the PokerGO studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, but everybody that got there, that was just there, and being able to play there, and being able to, they busted Joey Ingram, or I mean, just all these like random
Right.
things in that experience. It was one of the highlights of my life. And so, I'm really addicted to wanting to do that again. So I don't know, maybe NFT Championship 2025 might be on the horizon. Who knows?
All right. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it. Thank
So
you.
official position of the show, NFTs not just for scams.
Correct. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That was
so for Brian, oh, go ahead.
the whole NFTs are a scam was an Atom Bomb Squad shirt. All right. Atom Bomb Squad, it was from the hundreds, and that
Okay.
was an actual NFT community. So they had people
Okay.
picketing with all these signs. NFTs are a scam, all these anti-NFT slogans. And those were actually slogans for an NFT community that was doing a publicity stunt. So I love it. But when I hear NFTs are a scam, I'm like, I just think of that shirt
Yeah.
from an NFT community, and I just love it. And so if you're being promised 1,000x on an NFT, it's probably a scam. Probably. So yeah, stay away from that one.
All right. Thanks very much. Everybody, please make sure to like, subscribe, connect with Brian. And for Bryan Kahanu, this is David Medley for Proof of Pod. See you next week.